In Myrtle Beach, you always go at your own pace. Lie out on the sand, lie out by the pool, go boogie boarding, go surfing, walk the boardwalk, walk the marsh walk, golf at one of 90 golf courses, mini golf at one of 50 mini golf courses, fish off a pier, fish from a chartered boat, go shopping, get drinks, eat the freshest seafood. The list is exhaustive, but the experience isn't. You can go all out or do nothing at all. How you relax is up to you. There is so much to do and explore, whether you're traveling with friends, family, or just yourself. With 60 miles of beach, you're going to find your place. If this sounds like what you need, then this is where you belong.
Twisted Tea and Myrtle Beach Wholesaler Better Brands Incorporated know our consumers enjoy relaxing days on the water with Twisted Tea's original hard iced tea in hand. It's important to remember drink and boat responsibly. Choose to be or designate a sober skipper before leaving the dock. Do it for your family and your friends, your passengers, and everyone else on board. Twisted Tea salutes all sober skippers who take the pledge. Cheers, and we'll see you on the water.
Realtree has always had a connection to the fishing industry and the outdoor lifestyle. In 2016, Realtree expanded on the traditional business of creating the world's most effective camouflage patterns to create a fishing brand and family of patterns designed to connect the woods to the water and strengthen the bond between the two worlds. We couldn't be more excited to be working with the industry's top brands, retailers, and anglers to continue our growth, and we hope that you will join us. Enjoy Realtree fishing patterns inshore, offshore, on the lake, or at the dock. Learn more about the extensive line Realtree fishing patterns, apparel, gear, and more at Realtree.com. Trilogy Outdoors.
All right, folks, welcome back to Trilogy Outdoors. After a wonderful Christmas season, we are back and in the studio, and it's just this one and only kind of a big deal, Senator Stephen Goldfinch.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal, and I'm going off of his new nameplate here in the Trilogy Outdoors studio. I love that nameplate, buddy.
Well, evidently, I am thought of as kind of a big deal.
Oh, I love it.
By some, less of a big deal by my wife.
Yep. But I love it. It's perfect. And by the way, anybody that doesn't know Stephen, he does not act like he's kind of a big deal, by the way. That's definitely a joke. But anyway, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, got to spend some great time with their family and friends. And I know, Stephen, you have a new addition to the family.
Got a dog. I said I would never do it again. And you know, our lifestyle is just, I mean, you're
always going. Y'all are always going.
Everybody needs a dog. I get it. But, I mean, we still are. We're always going. I'm in Columbia or wherever, 3 days a week, January to June. And then, obviously I'm deployed this year from June to January. So, and then, normally from June to January, we're out and about going anyway. And so I just said, it's just not fair to a dog. My daughter, holy cow, she just ate us alive for the last year and would break down in tears. And our family's not complete without a dog. Yeah, and anyway, of course I broke down.
For anybody that doesn't know Miss Hadley, she is mature far beyond her age, and I can absolutely hear her using that against you.
Oh, mature. My wife may say manipulative rather than mature or conniving. Well, she's a sweet kid, but she is I think, unfortunately for her, she's going to be a lawyer because she can just argue with the best of them, and she'll catch you in these little things and turn it on you and make you feel like you're the bad guy. And she's pretty incredible.
It's in her blood, dude. It's in her blood.
Yeah, it must be.
It's in her blood. She's manipulative. Well, I'll tell you what. I know. Have you been out? Have you been out duck hunting at all? Have you been sneaking and not telling me about it? Because I've kind of been watching my phone.
I've been trying to think if I have. Honestly, I haven't. I've gotten a couple.
You turned down 2 invites, I know.
I had a couple of invites, and I have not been able to go. It's just been a weird year. We had a lot going on, and then we had family in town for Christmas and weren't able to. Usually, I'll tell you what happens. Usually, years past, when we've had family in town and I get those invites over Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'm able to bring those people with me.
Right.
And so it's easier for me to sneak away from the house. But this year, those people were not able to sneak away and go with me. And so it puts me in a position of leaving the entire family by myself. If you got 2 or 3 guys going with you, then it's a crowd and it's easy to do. But if you're the only guy waking up at 3:30 in the morning and leaving and being gone half the day, your wife gives you that turkey.
Oh yeah, well, I'm in the middle of vacation and I'm sitting here in the podcast studio. Trust me, I didn't. I kind of caught a little bit of lip this morning as I was leaving Carolina Pines, which, by the way, folks, man, it's a incredible little place, and it's. I'm embarrassed to say that we just traveled 35 minutes to go on vacation, but it really is. I mean, once you get through the gate in there, you turn the kids loose. Mm-hmm. It's safe. Let them do whatever. They're riding their scooters, their bicycles, and we're actually staying right across from a little park that's got all the football field, soccer field, basketball courts, and everything. So it's great. But I was supposed to cook breakfast for all the nieces this morning. And we overslept. I'm not going to lie. I overslept this morning. And then I forgot my laptop, so I had to turn around and go all the way back and get it, which I forgot. I kind of needed to do this podcast on. But, man, it's a great little place up there and fun seeing a bunch of the Myrtles Inlet people here. Some of your neighbors are up there.
Yeah, I heard.
Y'all got a lot of neighbors. You got a lot of neighbors that have really, really, really nice campers. Do you know that? And when I say really nice, I'm talking campers that are nicer than my house.
You can spend some money on
for
a
real.
Camper. Yeah, you can spend some money on a camper.
But glamping got big during COVID. During COVID. Glamping got big, and I call it glamping because as a joke. But I mean, camping got big, and boy, people went crazy and started buying these nice RVs and the fifth wheels. And man, Kim and I rode the golf cart and rode around. Looking at some of them, and I mean they are. I mean condos on wheels.
Oh yeah, and you can pick up a deal right now too if you really want one, because a lot of people that used them during COVID are realizing they're not using them as much now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they're realizing exactly how much work goes into all that setup and everything else. But
all the inventory that they overdid during COVID is starting to pile up, so you can pick up some deals.
Well, on today's show, we really, I think we need to talk about 2022, and let's openly share some goals for 2023. I mean, I want to be held accountable, and I don't care if our Trilogy listeners out there try to hold us accountable for some goals. But I know you and I were texting this morning a little bit already about videos, and I think I'll jump forward to a goal for 2023, and I think without a doubt, I think we're mutually agree on this is video content.
Yeah, I mean,
lots of it.
This is, we're recording this on December 30th, so this is a great time for us to do our New Year's resolutions.
Yep.
And for the company and for our listeners and for our readers. And so, yeah, great time. And video content, certainly something that we need more to do better with, need to do more of. I'll take responsibility for a lot of that because, I had an opportunity to get a lot of good video this year.
You got good video in that, but keep going. Then I'll defend you. Keep going.
But I failed. When I got some good video of after shots, I got some good video. We did quite a bit of diving this year, quite a bit of spearfishing, quite a bit of megalodon hunting, shark tooth diving. We got we got an elk and a good mule deer. And I don't feel like I have nearly as much video as I should have. And so if I don't give you good content, you don't have a lot to work with. And I take full responsibility for that.
Well, I take full responsibility for the working with part because I feel now that since you've blessed, Trilogy has blessed me with the incredible software to actually produce broadcast quality videos. It's my job now to learn it. Now, in my defense, I will say that this year has been a learning curve for me in now learning to lay out a magazine and get that done every month and editing and, doing the ads and everything else for the radio. But I feel like I've got this down. I feel, honestly, this has become second nature if I, just can remember to make sure I plug in all the cables. But as far as the editing side of it, I think with all that we're going to have going on this year, I think we're going to want to find a third party to help us with that. and I say that in a sense like I want to have it all done. You give me your video like you've done, and I go through and try to pull off what we need, how I can, put it in sequential order, and then send it to whoever it is, whether it's a young student at Coastal Carolina into, graphic arts, media, whatever program out there, or whether it's we hire somebody here locally that can do it for us. But, but one thing that's held me up on putting our video out there is video is great. If you just put raw footage out there, it's great. If you try to edit it and edit it in a sense to where, it's I don't know, a story, it really helps to have like a really good graphics at the beginning and a really good graphics at the end. So what I'm trying to do is pull little bits of video of your stuff, little bits of video of my stuff, and get them together so I can get them to somebody to create a 15, 30-second intro.
Yeah.
And something at the end, but I think the quality has to be there before we really put out a bunch of stuff. But with that being said, I am working on a 2022 trilogy in review. Basically, it's everything, and it goes back to you and me burning your other property last year. Got drone and video of that. You didn't get hurt. That was a plus. And then I've got video of our duck hunt that we went on last year together. That was fun. Oh, you did get hurt. I forgot.
This year.
Oh, this year you got hurt.
No, I didn't get hurt, but we burned. What day was that?
Wednesday.
We burned Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I didn't mean to get you off track, but
no, you're good.
You mentioned something. We burned Wednesday, and got a great burn on this property we've got on Yohanna Creek in Georgetown County.
Anybody realize what time of the year Stephen burned? Okay,
yeah.
just noting that.
Exactly.
Keep going.
Thank you very much. Wintertime. Had everything turned out great until the very last piece of burn, which was only about a little 3-acre piece of grass. And, the truth is we didn't prepare the fire break well enough. And anyway, I ended up, Rick was there, and Rick and I both ended up on the smoke side of the burn, trying to put it out by hand, with shovels and rakes and feet. And there was like 3 times, I got all the hair on my hands gone, and there's like 3 times there that I had to run to get clear of the smoke because I was getting so inundated with smoke. Like I had my shirt up over my face and couldn't breathe and started coughing and had to run like as fast as I could to get some fresh air 3 times. And, at the 3rd time I said, dadgummit, I didn't prepare this fire break well enough, and I need to do better next time. But anyway, I didn't mean to.
Was Steve Sr. not involved?
He was there for the first couple hours. He had to leave. He was not able to help.
Did he not leave the modified redneck fire truck with you?
He brought it, and it ended up rolling down Highway 701 at about 60 miles an hour. It flew. I don't know if he didn't have it connected well.
The whole thing?
It disconnected from the back of the. You're talking about the big.
I'm talking about the 4-wheeler with the pump on it.
The big water tank. Yeah, so I don't know if he didn't have the water tank connected or didn't have it connected well or what, but as he was trailering it down 701, it blew off the back of the 4-wheeler and it.
Oh no!
Down the highway and broke into pieces, and so we didn't have water. We did have a tractor, thankfully, and some shovels and some rakes and some feet, but other than that, we didn't have a whole lot of help.
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't able to join you that day. I was busy and doing some stuff with the rodeo, but I did keep looking periodically out towards your area to make sure I didn't see some crazy amount of smoke.
Big smoke. Yeah, it does. The good thing about that property is it's got highway on one side. It's got Yohanna Creek on 3 other sides, so it can't get away, so to speak. It's not going to run onto somebody else's property. It's just a matter of how much work you want to put into it, right? Like if you let it go, it'll burn 150 acres,
right?
And that's fine if you got the time to manage it. But we didn't. We wanted to burn 10, and we didn't have the time to manage 150 that day. And so I didn't want it getting into any of the other stuff, and so I didn't put as much time into that fire break as I
So
should.
will you be back to burn more?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've got a 50-acre tract of pines that needs to be burned and a 18-acre tract of pines that needs to be burned, and I got a bunch of stuff that needs
Well, you know, from what I saw on my fat lighter expedition out there, it really looked like a clean piece of property. I mean, it looked like whoever had it before had kept it clean, especially in the hardwoods area, in the pine area.
Yeah.
It looked really clean, and I didn't get down to the back of the property. You said I missed, more than half of it, but that all looked pretty grown up. But that's right around the swamp area, isn't it?
It's not bad back there. The swamp it drops from like a fairly clean, like you described it, pine forest. It's a little. It needs to be thinned. It's a little thick on pine wood side. It's to me, optimal pine wood density is like 25 to 30 an acre.
Yep.
For what we do, for turkey and deer hunting primarily. Quail wood's maybe a little less than that, but I'm not a quail hunter. I want to be able to see through pine woods, but I don't want it. I don't necessarily want fields through pine woods either. I'm not a quail. I'll quail hunt, but I'm not quail hunting there.
Right.
So 25 to 30 is a good density for pines to me, and it's probably like 40 or 45 right now an acre. So we need to thin it, and we need to burn it, and it'll be a little more conducive to all that. But anyway, it drops from pine, fairly thick pine, into cypress swamp, which is not very deep at all. It's ankle deep at most. The cypress swamp's sort of thick. It needs to be thin too, if that was a possibility. And then it drops down into Yohanna Creek, which is 6-8 feet deep,
Right.
and 20 or 30 feet wide. So
Have you seen any ducks in the swamp park?
Yeah, there's a few. Most of the ducks seem to be on some of the plantations and some of the impoundments that are along the PD River.
Yep.
Right now, there are.
Oh, they're loaded. I want to talk about that, but
Yeah, they were definitely loaded a couple weeks ago. Less this week, it seems like. I think all those birds moved just prior to that big cold front, whatever that was, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that froze Buffalo, New York, pushed all of those ducks south. And so I think the big push was just before that front, but we still got a few.
How big a push? We're way getting off subject. We got to go back to 2022 and 2030, but how big a push do we actually get here from cold fronts?
Fair amount. You can definitely see the change when you get a big frozen cold front over the Great Lakes, and it starts pushing into New York, pushing east into New York. You definitely see a huge increase in birds here. So I'm a believer in it.
Well, I go back to 2016 or 15 when the Pamlico Sound froze over completely.
Yeah.
And I spent a bluebird day in my boat at the jetties of Merle's Inlet, and we shot and killed shovelers, green-winged teal, lots of them, redhead, gabwall, and missed a hen and a drake pintail, all sitting at the jetties.
Oh, yeah.
But we nonstop watched flocks of hundreds of birds flying south offshore.
Oh, yeah.
And that year was like one time where I can say that I knew that cold front north of us made a big difference. Last week, I went out with Jay Bache, who's been on the show with us. We went twice and went and hunted public water here and hunted for a particular species of bird that a lot of people, prize here. And then a lot of people don't want you to shoot them on their plantations. But the black-belly whistling tree duck, I think, is exactly what it is. And man, we saw hundreds and hundreds of pintail. We saw hundreds of the tree ducks. It was incredible. All sitting on public water.
That's a duck that has really increased in population here. I don't remember ever seeing those as a kid growing up. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I ever even heard of one. One was killed in Arkansas. I didn't kill it, but one was killed in Arkansas when I was there one year. And that was the first time I'd ever heard of a whistling duck or a tree duck. And that was 25, 30 years ago. And then all of a sudden, in the last 5 or 10 years, they've just like blown up here. And really in the last 2 or 3 years, they've really exploded in population.
And it seems like, I mean, you're in contact with a lot of plantation owners, far more than I am, but it seems like you're hearing from them that they've got them on, that a lot of them are talking about having them on there. I'm trying to find this video I got of this flock flying over us. They are one of the prettiest sounding. I mean, it is.
It's cool. They make a cool sound, and yeah, I can hear them. I can hear them whistling there. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
They're unbelievable. They are unbelievable.
And have you ever seen them? Did they decoy for you?
They did not decoy.
So, because traditionally they don't land in water like that.
No.
Right? They need to land on
They land on dry ground.
They land on dry ground or like logs or like trees.
Yep.
So decoying them is a little different. Like if you had a big giant log out in the middle of your decoys, they'd probably land on that.
Yep.
But they don't decoy the way that other ducks decoy.
They flocked. They flocked. So they came out. The first group was in like a 40, 50 bird flock. They came out, and we, of course, got them over top of us, and we all unloaded. And I know that I shot at least 2 foot in front of mine on every shot. They are so slow. Mm-hmm. They are slow, but I watched Kelly Bache. I watched her in the second flock that flew out. I watched her hit a bird twice. I could see the bird that she was shooting hit, and that bird never faltered, nothing. Just kept flying right on. I mean, then we went to start cleaning one of them, and dude, it took, everything you got to pull those feathers out the breast.
Yeah, they got real thick, and the pin feathers are real.
The pin feathers up under it were tough.
Yeah, real tough too.
But I heard they taste good. I didn't get to eat any of them. They kept them all. Yeah. But I did hear they taste good as well. But again, we were hunting outside of the point I was getting at. We were hunting outside of a very nice private place that's I think where I was, and probably not maintained as great as some are in recent years.
Used not to be, but it's getting there
more
now.
So now.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what, if you could get in there, you could have put you a beautiful sprig on the wall. But I heard in the last 2 weeks, I have heard so many people complaining about all the birds that are on these private places, and they're not coming out. And I just wanted to bring this up because, and I know you and I both had this conversation before, and I've been blessed, thanks to you, to get into one of these beautiful places and hunt and see what it looks like on the inside. And, when we sit on the outside, which I am a public water hunter, when we sit on the outside, our minds and our vision is one thing. And then when you get on the inside, it's way different. Oh, yeah. It is way different. I know exactly why the owner gets so furious about where people sit and what they do, because they know that the only way they're going to be able to harvest a bird in that area is to probably knock it down in their property, which we know wanton waste and all that is crazy. But the fact of the matter is, the birds that are here that we're shooting on the public water are only here because of them.
Yeah, we wouldn't have them.
We would not have them. And so for people to have, listen, I understand, and God taught me about jealousy and everything else in the Bible. But, so if this man can afford to own this plantation and he puts his money into it, more power to him. Like, let me help you. What do I need to do? Because it's because of you that I'm having a chance to shoot birds on Thoroughfare Creek. Yeah. I'm getting lucky. I'm getting those birds moving from one to another. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't happen without these people. And, I don't want to get into the DNR thing with you because I don't want to put you in that position. But we also understand a very large waterfowl area that's located here centrally in the area where we hunt a lot has really not been managed at all for birds.
Yeah. No, it hasn't. Not well. We got a large WMA in Georgetown County, and I don't mind getting into it a little bit, English, but we got a large WMA in Georgetown County that is it's a waterfowl, Class 1 waterfowl management area, which means it should be highly intensely managed for waterfowl.
Right.
It doesn't have uplands. It is a waterfowl management area only. And that's not true. It's got a little bit of.
It's got a little bit dull field.
Yeah, but not. I mean, it is designed for waterfowl.
Yep.
And they haven't. I got to go back in my memory now, but I don't think they've had a duck hunter, in 5+ years, and they really shouldn't have had a duck hunter in 10+ years.
Right, because I saw the harvest numbers from those years, and it was terrible.
Well, they put some guys out on dry fields.
Yep.
That didn't have water management at the time. And so, anyway, I mean, that's if you expect the state or even the federal government to be doing the work that plantation owners are doing, you're just sadly mistaken. I mean, they're not going to do it. Now, they should be. But the government should be doing a lot of stuff, or shouldn't be doing a lot of stuff, whatever your opinion is. They're just not going to satisfy you in their management of wildlife. Period. I wish they would, but they're not. And so to count on them and to say the plantation owners are, they're hoarding all the ducks, it's just misguided. At best, it's misguided. I mean, plantation owners right now, the guys that have the big plantations, the guys even that have the little impoundments, like us. I mean, we're building a little impoundment right now. The guys that have the little impoundments are the ones that are giving everybody on public water an opportunity to duck hunt. In South Carolina, I don't want to speak for other places because other places are very different.
Very different.
Very different. I've hunted a lot of places in the world for ducks. Very different.
Arkansas is a perfect example of different.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere. I mean, you got great places to hunt in Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas.
Texas,
Missouri. I mean, those places are a totally different scenario if you're listening from somewhere else. But on the East Coast, especially in South Carolina, we've got issues here with public land management and ducks and the flyway, really. And the only way we continue to get those birds is by having food and rest areas. I mean, it is a simple solution. I shouldn't say simple solution. It's a simple calculation. If you're trying to do calculus on these ducks, you need A, food, and you need B, rest area.
Yep.
I mean, I think we talked about this with Charles Knapp. I mean, way back when we talked about Charles, what's the solution to ducks? It's food and rest.
Yep.
If you got those two things, you'll have ducks. And we, the only place that has reliable food on the East Coast of South Carolina are plantations right now.
That's right.
And then you got public water hunters shooting rest areas, so.
And this is a point that was brought up by some of the same hunters that were, I don't want to say self-governing, but what they were trying to bring up too was, and here we are. I mean, we left at 2:30 in the afternoon to go. But they were like, at what point do we come? Does it make a difference if we let them rest during the day? Do we come up with an Arkansas time limit where, not only us, but the private plantations and everybody says, all right, we're done at 12 or we're done at 11 or there's no more waterfowl hunting after this hour. And I'll say that at Remini, the one place in particular that I've hunted a lot of times, that they're out of there by 9:30. Yeah. Like literally, it's like if you shoot after 9:30, the owner is coming for you, and you pay $25,000 for a blind. Yeah. But if you shoot after 9:30, you're in trouble until the last day. Then the last day, that's.
The place that you and I hunted, it's more like 8 or 8:30.
Okay.
Like everybody starts. You start looking cross-eyed at people if you're staying past 8:30, and it gets.
There really ain't no need to stay later than that.
I mean, you can shoot your limit by 7:15 every morning, but the thing is, do you want to push it a little later to try to shoot those big? Because the pintail, the flights of pintails will start coming in around 8 or 8:30.
That's right. They're a little later.
So you can shoot all the teal you want, by 7 o'clock. And you might get a gadwall and a widgeon, but you want to try to shoot that long-tailed duck. It's going to be, that
pushing towards the end of it.
Yeah, it's going to be pushing towards the end of it.
Well, we talked about it that day, but remember it was hot, right? Wasn't it hot? And the mosquitoes were wearing us out.
Hot mosquitoes and alligators.
So we all decided like 2 minutes before shooting time that we were going to go ahead and just try to limit out.
Right.
And
I think we were done by 7:15.
We were done, and we had gadwall, we had teal, green, and blue, and did we have a shoveler maybe? But anyway, we had a great bag of birds, and then we got back.
I think we shot one mallard, if I remember correctly.
Okay, maybe a mallard, but then we got back, and it's this is again, this is what just blows my mind. I mean, we're on the same property, and then there's another blind, and they've got widgeon, and they had widgeon and gadwall and something, a complete different bag.
Yeah.
And
different impoundments on that place just keep completely different birds.
Yep.
Completely different birds. Like there, I mean, there's a on the north side of that property, there's an impoundment that gets almost nothing but wood ducks, and I mean by the thousands.
Right.
Right.
We rode by it. I think you pointed it out.
On the the central part of that piece of property, you get pintails, gadwall, widgeon. On the south part of that property, you get teal by the thousands.
Yep.
Teal by the like it looks like swarms of mosquitoes coming in.
And that's where we were.
And that's where we were on the south side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so totally different. And it's very interesting to try to figure out why it's like that, but that's just how it works. But anyway, we've gotten way off topic.
No, we haven't, because it's duck season, dude. It's the middle of duck season. Like,
It
that was
is.
the other thing. My thing was, it would. I really did want to talk ducks and a little bit, and I didn't know if you'd been yet or not. I thought you had, but I was blessed to go on a little wood duck hunt last week at a little swamp near your property, and man, it was crazy. We saw a ton of birds, but it was that 12-degree morning.
Oh yeah.
And there were a lot of places that had frozen over. The pond we were on, the little beaver pond we were on, was not frozen over, but it seemed like it was bluebird, no wind hardly, and all the birds that wanted to come in there came in about 5 minutes before shooting time.
Yeah.
And then we're gone, but we ended up getting a couple. But, man, it was beautiful, and got checked by our good friends from DNR. Thank you for all that you do. Got checked by them on the way out, and they were paying attention to where the shots were coming from. But it was this year so that makes 3 hunts for me I've been on. Normally during duck season, let's see, we're 3 weeks into it now in the second split. I would have been 10 times by now, but
Yeah, me too.
it's just not exciting. I mean,
Me too.
you spoiled me. I'm just going to honestly say you spoiled me. My trip last year, and then my trip to North Carolina, which is awesome, and I'll be going on there January 22nd. But between that trip and between going with you to that place, I mean, it's tough. The competition, I talked to a good friend of ours, a writer for the magazine, Jackson Denny. They went last week and left at 1 in the morning.
Yeah, that's tough.
To go hunt Brown Island down south. That's where they were trying to get.
Yeah.
Because they heard there was birds on the Delta side or whatever, and flying, the Cape, whatever.
Did they get the spot?
They got the spot. They killed 3 birds. I mean, that's South Carolina duck hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and the other thing is, I do, after I said that we need to cut a limit out on time, Sarah Bryson, another writer of ours who hunts every day of the season, she set her spread up at 10 o'clock in the morning last week one day, and she killed gadwall, redhead, and bluebills and by herself, middle of the day, sitting out on one of the bays.
Yep.
And I do think that a lot of times we leave too early, some of us that hunt down there. But at any rate, dude, I know we can sit here and talk about duck hunting all day between the two of us. I know you might not love it as much as you used to, but you've hunted all over.
No, I do. I have a real passion for duck hunting, and I just don't do it that much. I don't know why that. I don't know why that is. I do. I can postulate why that is, if you let me use a big word. I can postulate why that is. I think that's a combination of I did it a lot early in life. I guided for Charles Snapp in Arkansas, and so I got a big gut full of it. But I still love it. Like there's something about getting it all right, all the work that goes into it, getting it right, and then hitting everything just right. Duck hunting, it's a little bit like fishing, right? I mean, like there's a lot of prep, there's a lot of work to get there, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And so you go back and you try to recreate that one time where all the conditions came together. The weather was right, the migration was right, the food was right, the water was right, people were shooting good, and I just, whatever. The rivers were frozen, and so it pushed them to you. there's conditions just like that go into fishing, and every now and then all those stars align.
They align.
All those stars align, and they're sitting in your lap all morning long, and you can't beat them off with a stick. And everybody's shooting well, and the blind is jiving real well. People are listening. Nobody's flagging anybody. Nobody's shooting anybody's ears off. Everything works out, and you walk out of there like you've just had a heroin high, and maybe that's a poor.
After what I dealt with last night, yeah, that's a poor.
Maybe that's a poor example, but you know what I mean. Like, addicts chase this high.
You're right. It's all about the high.
They chase this high. The same thing with duck hunting. You chase it, and I know it's there, but I know everything that you have to put into it to get there too. And so every now and then I'll stick my feet in the water and try to chase it again, and then I remember, oh crap, that's a lot of work to get there, and so I pull back. And I think when we get this impalement,
you're in the middle of working. You're in the middle of that work right now.
Yeah, and I think when we get this impalement complete, I'm not going to be able to use it this year.
You're going to wait till next year, or even
24.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
I won't be able to shoot it in 23 because I'll be overseas with the Army. But
we'll check it for you next year.
I'm sure you will.
We'll check it.
But in 24, I think with my son and my daughter too, I think that's another thing, English. We hadn't really talked about that a little bit. Like the amount of effort and time and physical exertion that goes into public water hunting anymore, and getting kids up at midnight to go public water hunting. It is a real challenge and a hassle, right? If you've got your own impoundment or your own place to go, or an invite to one of these private places that's real nice, so much simpler for the kids, right?
Exactly.
And you can provide them with an experience that they're going to remember and not hate.
Yep.
And so that's a concern too, right? Like making it easy enough for the kids where they can enjoy it and want to come back and do it again. And I think building that impoundment for us is going to give me that, so that I can still enjoy the duck hunting side of it, but not all of the junk that goes into it that you normally have to put into it.
Yeah, and then you got your adult on-set hunting buddies like me and Rick too.
Yeah.
So don't forget us. So yeah. That impoundment's going to be great. And like you said, I mean, was it 10 acre?
Yeah,
close?
the entire thing is 10, but I'm going to keep a portion of it natural. So we're probably only going to have 5 acres planted, which is plenty big enough.
Plenty big enough.
I mean,
especially where you're at.
It'll have ducks.
Yeah,
it'll definitely have ducks.
And that's what it's all about. But I tell you, you're right. And getting the kids out and experience it. And I'll tell you that I have not had the chance to take Russ with me, who, I mean, obviously not taking a gun. He just wants to go and go through the experience. I took him in the early season, and he loved it. And did he sit still? No. But did he take in everything that was going on and picked up a lot? Yes, he did. He actually enjoyed helping Captain Sarah put out the decoys. Mm-hmm. And he enjoyed turning the mojo on and off. She gave him the remote control so he could turn it on and off. But those are little things that get them sparked, get a spark going in them so that they want to do it, when they get older. And then, I mean, we all know at the end of the day, when it comes to fishing, hunting, or whatever, these kids, Tripp, Hadley, Kinsley, Russ, are the future. And if we don't instill in them, the desire and all that goes into getting out there, then they're just going to move right on to being, Karens. I mean, they're not going to care a bit about fishing or hunting or, the respect of the resources and everything else. So it's, getting Russ out there is not about getting him out there to kill one. I'm sure the same thing for you with Tripp. It's just getting him out here to enjoy the experience and get outdoors, because, I mean, y'all are going outdoors right now when we get done. Mm-hmm. And you do an incredible job of that. I try to as much as I can.
No, you do too. You do great.
But I'm blessed with great friends who have places that I'm able to go enjoy. But, getting off, we did get way off subject. I do want to go backwards now. Instead of going in 2023, I want to go to 2022. I want to talk about 2022 and the incredible year that I feel like we've had. And it went from, I say it started on a fishing trip August of 2021 with the kids when you and I were fishing the parents the kids tournament from Florence Blue Water Fishing Club when we started talking about working together in some way, shape, or form, and then fast forward to the opportunity with Waccamaw Outdoor Magazine and such, and then the podcast idea and everything. And I just want to say that 2022 has been incredible. I personally will say this much. I have learned so much this year, I've always written for magazines and such and written editorials, as you have as well. But now to be on the editorial, the publication side of it, the publishing side of it, it's been eye-opening. And then when it comes to, editing all this audio and figuring out all this and content and everything else for the podcast, it's been great to know that an old dog can learn new tricks. And I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to be on this trip and journey. But I do think that we far superseded, we far exceeded our plans for 2022, and that's my personal opinion. And you may differ in that, but I feel like we did. I feel like possibly, our plans with the rodeo that we, to get started back in June and have it rolling May, June, or whatever. I think that we may have delayed that a little bit, but I think with what I'm encountering over the last 3 weeks now, I think that it worked out perfect. The growth and the interest in the Grand Strand Fishing Rodeo are incredible right now, and I think with what it is in December, I cannot imagine what it's going to be like in April and May.
Yeah, and the hurricane delayed that for us a little bit too.
Exactly.
With the piers
collapsing. With the piers collapsing, and they'll be opened up. But
yeah, but you have done a fantastic job learning stuff that I either could not learn or didn't have the care to learn, honestly. And I mean, like somebody, you are well appreciated because somebody has to do it.
We entered this agreement. We entered this business partnership with the agreement that you've got plenty on your table. And I mean, honestly, like I knew this was you were helping supply me with a better job and better opportunities. And it's a partnership, but in the same sense, I know what was put on my plate to do and what is put on your plate to do. And I think that we've both done a great job with it. I mean, to think that in our first year, we had, at some point, we were partnered with Realtree. I mean, we've had partnerships with incredible partners, albeit the podcast, through the magazine, through radio show, so much going on. And I just think that 2022, we both deserve a big pat in the back. And more importantly, all of our partners and sponsors deserve a big round of applause. And also the incredible guests that we've had on the show. Yeah. All that are adding all the content. There's your applause.
Thank you so much.
All the incredible content that we've had.
I've been very, I've been pleased with it all, honestly, Inglis. I mean, I always sort of thought the magazine would kind of take care of itself because it had a readership base. We just had to sort of plug in where it had everything in the past. Writers, editors, publishers,
right,
distributor. We had to plug all that in, but the mechanism was already there. And I recognize that plugging all that in is a lot of work, right? But the system, the mechanism was there for success on the magazine. And so I'm very pleased with it. But we had to build, and the radio show too. I mean, y'all have done a great job with the radio show, Southern Anglers Radio. It's on 107.9 every Saturday morning. Please listen to it.
And the iHeart app.
And we might be on new stations in the new year.
Coyote down in Charleston, and that would be incredible, and that is the goal, along with taking the magazine there. But like you said, the magazine was basically putting all the pieces together, but we've tried to tweak it. And I mean, quite honestly, like the one thing that in my mind that I've had all along with the magazine, and trust me, it's been, I've texted, you and I text, I'll text you those. I text you my SOS text come about 2 days before production when I'm like, all right, dude, can you write an article for me real quick?
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that we've had issues, and I'll just say it. I mean, we've had issues with writers who may not have been all in like we need them to be.
Yeah, sure.
And that's basically what it boils down to. But I think now we've added incredible writers, and I've got more coming. I cannot name 2 of them right now that are even bigger, like real nationally well-known writers that are going to be adding. But that content and what we want in that magazine for content, I think, and you agree with me, I think we want great local stuff.
Yeah.
We need great regional stuff, and every now and then, just like your articles that you've been writing on your hunts and everything else, you know, throw in a little bit of national stuff, like you know, a story of whatever. I mean, if I get George Pavaramo to write an article about something, you know, those are great things that make people want to pick the magazine up. And that's it. That's advertisers want to know that people are picking the magazine up.
Yeah, and readers want to know that they're going to get good content, and so I think overall, I give you an A on the management of the magazine. Now, we had a mechanism. What I was about to say, and we got sidetracked. We had a mechanism, a game plan, so to speak, for the magazine. We had no game plan for the podcast, right? I mean, the podcast, it was just sort of like, this is an idea, right? And we want to bring this idea to market. We want to share some of these experiences, these stories, these learning experiences with a wider range of audience than just the magazine can provide and the radio show can provide. How do we do that? And we came up with it from scratch. Like there was no... Maybe there is a YouTube video on how to, be a successful podcaster.
How to do a podcast, yeah.
But I don't think we listened to it.
No.
We didn't watch it or we didn't listen to it. We just sort of did it on our own. And I'm so proud of what you've accomplished and what we've accomplished and the guests we've had and the listeners that we have now. Y'all, I just got to say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely a big thank you. And you're right. And as far as content, you've been incredible. Like things that you've lined up. And I'll just tell you from some of our very loyal listeners, and we've got to come up with a term for them. You know, on the radio show, we obviously have our fish heads that follow Southern Anglers Radio Show. We've got to come up with a name for our podcast listeners. But, the guests that we've had on the show, the lineup, I mean, who would have thought that one of our top 3 shows in 2022 would be a show about mosquitoes? That's
amazing, isn't it?
I mean, I would have just said it all along. Once you said that Jim Shockey was going to be our first guest, I'd have said, oh, that show is going to go crazy. Who would have thought that a show, this is our first kind of locally based show that we did, content driven, was the Flounder Show.
Yeah.
You, me, Jay Bass, Jason Burton, and sitting at Myrtle's Inlet Fishing Charters talking flounder fishing.
That was a great show.
Who would have thought that would have been our top 3?
Yeah.
I would have thought that it would have been more, Ted Nugent would have been up there.
Yeah.
But, the content that we found, I mean, we went and sat down and watched you get your honorary, is that an honorary doctorate?
Yeah.
It is.
So.
To go do a podcast at Coastal Carolina in a marine science class with you, which the whole time we didn't realize that you were supposed to be the featured guest. We thought we were interviewing them, but it ended up you were the featured guest. That would have had another big draw. It's just been it's just great, and we just continue to add and do crazier things, and I'm sure 2023 is going to have that, and same thing. Mark,
do you want to before you say what you're about to say? Do you want to announce any of our guests? I know you told me about one special guest that's coming on. Do you want to announce them, or do you want to hold off on
No,
them?
we can announce definitely. So first and foremost, I mentioned the name already, George Poveromo. If anybody knows anything about the outdoor saltwater fishing television or the saltwater sportsman seminar series that he does nationally every year.
That's at the IGFA, right?
IGFA, yeah. George is going to be joining us in February. We've got to get that schedule worked out with him. He has just launched his season on the Outdoor Channel and on NBC New season just launched this week, along with our good buddy Mark Davis, who I texted with.
Yeah.
To tell him congratulations. I watched his first episode. It was, I don't want to call it, it was friggin' killer. His first show was down in Costa Rica, trolling.
Yeah.
And he was trying this new artificial diving bait.
Yeah.
And I texted him and said, hey, dude, that will be in my spread here in May. But, yeah, it's George Poveromo. I mean, we're going to have a lot of great guests. I mean, the other thing is, too, I don't know if you realize this, but I do get to see the statistics. Our locals get just as much. And I say that in the sense that we line up. I mean, we're kind of connected with some good people. We know. I mean, sure. We know good people. We hang out with good people. We got a really good group of people. But when we do a local show, talking about the kayak fishing, for instance, those guys have gotten raving reviews.
Yeah.
But sometimes those are the ones that are well received.
Yeah.
You know, but it is nice to throw in the George Poveromos, the Captain Bouncer Smiths, the good Lord, who else?
Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent, yeah, obviously Jim Shockey.
Shockey, Charles Scott.
Man, we need to have Jim on again, and I'm addicted to shock therapy.
It's a great show.
The process behind that show is so awesome.
It's a great show.
It's so cool to see him sitting back in his house up there, just sitting back with his guest and talking about, you know, whatever experiences they had together or whatever. But it is a great show, and I definitely suggest everybody go check it out on the Outdoor Channel. But I think that 2023 for us, like, our big thing is just to continue to push hard with the podcast and you know, add in the video side of it. And I'll tell you, I think that it's going to take possibly, and this is, I want to defend you on your self ridicule that you've given yourself over the harvest videos of the deer and the elk. I sent you with a knife to a gunfight. I sent you with GoPros to go film a hunt. First and foremost, you've got to have zoom. You've got to have a big camera to do that. You don't see the meat eater going out, and you don't see him filming elk hunts with a GoPro. You see him carrying bigger cameras with the zoom lens, with everything else, so that you can get all that in. So I put that on me. But we do this year have to make sure we get video everything that we do. You going down to the bottom of the ocean is video worthy. People want to see it. Guys like me that aren't ever going to do it. And now Lucas, who now has sworn off going diving after that shark attack that he got to see the video of.
Yeah.
But
so real fast on the video, and I know we're getting close to the end here. Obviously, both of us have zoomed in on, no pun intended, we know we need to expand upon. And I'd love to hear from listeners on private message and email and telephone calls and text what they think we ought to focus on as well. But seems like you and I are moving in the same direction. This is our partners meeting here, right? We're doing it live.
Exactly what my thoughts were. I was like, let's let people listen to us talking.
Right. I mean, we're doing it live. We're sharing with our we're going to do it live, as Bill Riley says. We're sharing with our listeners what our thoughts are on this thing. But it sounds like we need to expand. Obviously, keep doing what we're doing with the magazine, expand upon it. Keep doing what we're doing with the radio show and expand upon it. We might be going to Charleston on the radio.
Yep.
Expand upon our podcast. I'd like to add some interesting guests this year. I've got some ideas about that. You've brought on one already that you've mentioned. It's great. But what we both have zoomed in on, again, no pun intended, is more video content.
Yep.
I've never seen us, in my mind's eye, I've never seen us as having a TV show, a hunting show on TV. That was never, I don't know, that was never really the business plan.
No.
But video content to support our other platforms, like the podcast, the magazine, the radio show, I like that. And I like the idea of, like, maybe this is too much of graphic content. Maybe this is too much information. But I like the idea of small video snippets that you can watch on the toilet.
Yep.
Okay?
Nope.
I'm not a guy that sits down and watches YouTube.
You don't watch a lot of TV anyway. You're always reading.
I don't,
and you're working. But yeah,
and I don't have time to sit down and watch a 30-minute YouTube video, but I have time to watch a 3-minute video. Usually, honestly, on the toilet is when that gets done, right?
Yep.
And so 3 to 5 minute snippets of content that support what you're talking about on the podcast, that support what we're talking about in the radio, in the magazine, makes a lot of sense to me. Does that make sense to you?
It makes a lot of sense.
So I don't necessarily think you need the giant camera with the zoom. I mean, maybe we do, and maybe we just really high quality 3-minute snippets.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm not planning on producing a TV show here. So I'm not the video guy, so maybe follow up on that.
Yep,
and we'll expand upon that. But to me, 3 to 5 minute video snippets that you can watch and keep your attention span for short periods of time that back up what we're talking about already. That makes sense to me.
It does, and we have. I mean, quite honestly, and I've had people laugh about it. If I took a picture of all the camera equipment and now what we've added through Trilogy, if you laid it out, I promise you that we may have more camera equipment than Mark Davis does.
Yeah.
No, actually, I know we do.
Yeah.
And our high-quality camera is a high-quality camera, but it's big. And I say that in a sense, when I said a new camera or newer camera, I was thinking something along the lines of a smaller HD video quality, broadcast quality video camera. But we do have access to a very nice camera that I have. So we do have that. It's not an excuse. But the thing is, we also do really cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Like things that I get to experience outdoors, things that you get to experience outdoors. It speaks volumes when we have video proof of who we are, what we are, and what we do. And I say that because it makes a difference for the listener that's out there going, who are these two idiots in South Carolina? This guy's a senator. He doesn't know anything about hunting or fishing. Okay, really? Well, go check out our videos. Go check him out in his Cape Horn. Go check out him explaining how they're deep dropping for swords or come with me. Let's go inshore. I'm going to tell you how I tie my leader on to go, fishing in the inlet or how live scope works on my new boat. Oh, God, I can't wait. But, so.
All of those are perfect examples of how we can back up what we're doing in the business already.
And I agree with you. A 5-minute video is perfect.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to be making a 5-minute video out of how to quarter an elk, just so you know.
Yeah.
There's no way with the video y'all did that I can do a 5-minute video with that.
No, I understand. And you might want some things that are more detailed, but I don't want to try to produce a TV show on YouTube.
Nope.
I mean, if it's a educational thing and you need to go into 30 minutes of detail, that's fine with me, because somebody that wants to watch that for educational purposes is going to watch it, right?
They're going to scroll past us and go to a girl in a bikini, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you brought that up.
They're going to scroll right past us, because if you Google right now how to throw a cast net, and I'm just going to, all right, I'm just going off my YouTube. If I Google how to throw a cast net, in other words, if I was looking to throw a 12-foot or whatever, if I Googled it, I can promise you that within the first 3 suggestions that come up, it's going to be a woman in a bikini.
A girl in a bikini.
It's going to be a girl in a bikini.
Or a girl in a wet T-shirt with no bra.
That's right.
That's how, if you look at them, that's how these guys get millions of views. And it's like, I don't know if it tailors that to men. Like, it can see I'm a man, and all of a sudden it's populating video after video after video of women with big boobs throwing cast nets.
Yep.
I don't know if that's how it works or what, but it's just amazing that no matter what I'm looking for, if I'm looking for, machine gun shooting, it's a girl in a bikini shooting a machine gun.
That's right.
If I'm looking for how to throw a cast net, it's a girl in a bikini throwing a cast net.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what it is. Arm wrestling, it's a girl in a bikini arm wrestling. It doesn't matter what it is, but because that's how people get big views. And I just got to tell you, I'm not going to have a girl in a bikini doing our videos, unless it's a natural thing. I mean, like, we're on the boat and there's a girl in a bikini. That's fine, but I'm not going to use her as the promotion for the educational video. I just think that's trashy.
No, we want to use the content as the reason somebody watches it.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. All right.
Unfortunately, neither one of us is going to look good in a bikini anyway, so we're lost.
Speak for yourself, Inglis. Speak for yourself.
Well,
listen, this has been great. I want to say before we end, thank you so much, Inglis, for what you have done for the company. Really proud of where we are, and I want to thank our listeners, our readers, for all that they've done. We wouldn't have this without y'all. Thank you so much.
Yep, and big thank you to all of our incredible advertisers, our partners that are involved in all this. And we look to add a lot in 2023. If you want to get involved in that, you can contact us. Go right to our website, TrilogyOutdoorsMedia.com. You'll see the contact link in there. If you want to get tied in with us, we'd love to promote it. If you've got new products coming out, if you getting into the fishing, hunting, outdoor business, you want us to promote that, we'd love to do that as well. Reach out to us. Follow us on Facebook. Every week you can catch us on Southern Anglers Radio Show on the Gator 107.9. Every month we got the magazines hitting the what do you call that thing? The magazine stand?
Shelf.
Trilogy Outdoors. Magazine will be hitting the stand. That's right. And then every week, obviously, Trilogy Outdoors podcast here. Again, Fins, Fur, and Feathers. Look for products coming. Trilogy Outdoors, look for products coming this year. Shirts, hats, and everything else. I know that's coming. That's another thing I meant to mention. I know that's coming. I purchased a lot of hats this week. I got a good deal. So we're going to have some great hats for the rodeo, great hats for the podcast, and everything else. And if you want to, if there's anything you want to see here, let us know. Reach out to us. But remember, if you don't click like, subscribe, and share, we'll never know. So make sure you do that. And until next year.
Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And until next year, remember, you can catch it all right here, but especially if it's Fins, Fur, and Feathers, you're going to find it on Trilogy Outdoors Podcast.
Trilogy Outdoors Podcast is a product of Trilogy Outdoors Media. All views and opinions of our hosts and guests are not necessarily those of our sponsors. Trilogy Outdoors is produced and edited by Trilogy Outdoors Media. Be sure to follow us on all the podcast platforms as well as our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also, don't forget our other brands, Southern English Radio Show and Walk 'Em All Outdoor Magazine. To find more information, visit TrilogyOutdoorsMedia.com. And remember, if it's anything dealing with fins, fur, and feathers, you're going to find it right here on Trilogy Outdoors.